Picture this, it's 1940. Every country in Europe has fallen to Nazi Germany. France, gone. Poland, gone. Denmark, Norway, Belgium, gone, gone, gone. Adolf Hitler controls an empire stretching from Paris to Warsaw. His military is the most terrifying war machine on earth. And the one man standing between Hitler and total world domination was a 65-year-old guy who got kicked out of his own government. A man his own party called reckless, unstable, and washed up. A man who had been wrong, publicly, catastrophically wrong, before. A man who drank a bottle of champagne before breakfast. His name was Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill. And he didn't just refuse to lose. He made losing seem like something that had never even occurred to him. This is the story of the most defiant human being who ever lived. And I promise you, by the end of this, you'll never look at your own obstacles the same way again. Here's the cruel irony of Churchill's beginning. He was born into one of the most powerful aristocratic families in England. His father was Lord Randolph Churchill, a rock star politician of his era. His mother, Jenny Jerome, an American socialite so beautiful and so magnetic, men wrote poems about her. And young Winston, almost completely ignored by both of them. He wrote his mother 30 letters in a single school term, begging her to visit. She came once. His father called him a disappointment, said he lacked the brain for law or academics. His teachers called him lazy, inattentive, and troublesome. He failed the entrance exam to Sandhurst Military Academy twice, passed it on the third try, barely. At 24 years old, Churchill did something that launched him from unknown soldier to national celebrity. Well, he was captured as a prisoner of war in South Africa during the Boer War. He escaped alone. Through hundreds of miles of enemy territory, he hid in a coal mine, survived on rats and rainwater, crossed a border in the dark with nothing but his nerve. By the time he got back to England, he was a legend. He'd written about the whole thing, published it, sold thousands of copies. He was elected to Parliament at age 25. Everything was going brilliantly for Churchill, until it wasn't. As First Lord of the Admiralty in World War I, Churchill pushed for a bold naval campaign. The plan, attack through the Dardanelles Strait, capture Constantinople, knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war. In theory, brilliant. In execution, a catastrophic disaster. The Gallipoli campaign. Over 56,000 Allied troops killed. A military embarrassment of historic proportions. And the blame landed squarely on Churchill. He was stripped of his post, publicly humiliated, cast out of the cabinet. Newspapers called him a reckless gambler, a dangerous man. His political career, at age 40, appeared to be over. Churchill later said that during this period he felt as though he was watching the world from behind a pane of thick glass. Knowing he couldn't feel anything. He called it the black dog. What happened next is what separates ordinary people from extraordinary ones. Churchill didn't quit. He didn't disappear. He did something nobody expected. He picked up a paintbrush. He taught himself to paint. At age 40, in the middle of his greatest public failure, he said painting saved his mind. Over his lifetime, he would produce over 500 paintings. He also wrote, constantly, history books, biographies, political essays. He warned Britain about the rise of Hitler for 10 years, while everyone called him an alarmist. He warned about Nazi Germany when it was deeply unpopular to do so. For a decade, Parliament ignored him. For a decade, the press mocked him. For a decade, he kept saying, this threat is real, this danger is coming, we must prepare. May 10th, 1940, Germany invades France and the Low Countries with terrifying speed. The British Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain, resigns. King George VI summons Winston Churchill. Churchill is 65 years old. He has waited for this moment his entire life. He walks into 10 Downing Street as Prime Minister. He later wrote, I felt as if I were walking with destiny. My whole life had been but a preparation for this hour. His first 3 months in office were the most terrifying in British history. France fell in 6 weeks. The British Army was trapped at Dunkirk. 330,000 soldiers surrounded on a beach. His own war cabinet was pushing him to negotiate peace with Hitler. Several of his own ministers said, "It's over, make a deal." Churchill refused. And he walked into the House of Commons and gave a speech that has never, in the history of human language, been matched for sheer defiance. "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender." Winston Churchill, June 4th, 1940. Not a negotiating position, not a political statement, a declaration of the human spirit itself. That summer, the German Luftwaffe launched the largest aerial bombardment in history against Britain. Night after night, bombs over London, fires visible from 50 miles away. Churchill would walk through the rubble the morning after raids. People would gather and cheer, weeping, exhausted, but cheering, because he showed up, in person, every time. May 8, 1945, Germany surrenders. The war in Europe is over. Winston Churchill, the man who saved Western civilization, stands on the balcony of Buckingham Palace to celebrate. The crowd below roars. 2 months later, he loses the general election in a landslide. The British public, in their first election since the war, voted out the man who had just saved them. Churchill was devastated. His wife, Clementine, tried to console him. She said, "Winston, perhaps it is a blessing in disguise." Churchill replied, "At the moment, it seems quite effectively disguised." At age 76, most people are retired, settled, finished. Churchill won the prime ministership again in 1951. He became the first person ever awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature while still serving as a head of government. He wrote a 6-volume history of World War II that remains in print to this day. Churchill died on January 24, 1965. He was 90 years old. His state funeral was the largest in British history. The dock workers of London lowered their cranes as his funeral barge passed along the Thames. A spontaneous gesture, a city saying goodbye to the man who saved it. Here is what I want you to take away from this man's extraordinary life. Churchill was not a natural-born genius. He was not a child prodigy. He was not the obvious choice. He was not the safe choice. He was barely anyone's first choice. He was a man who refused, with almost comical stubbornness, to accept that he was done. Every time the world said, "Sit down, Winston," he stood up. Every time the world said, "Shut up, Winston," he spoke louder. Every time the world said, "You're finished," he lit a cigar and got back to work. Wes, you are going to face your own Gallipoli, your own wilderness years, your own moment when the cabinet around you says, "Make the deal, take the easy way, it's over." And in that moment, I want you to remember a round, cigar-smoking, slightly ridiculous 65-year-old man who looked at the most powerful war machine in human history and said, "We shall never surrender, and neither will you." If you gained value from this video, please subscribe to our channel. Also, turn on the notification bell for you to be notified when we upload our life-transforming videos. Do well to like, share it to someone who needs it. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.